Hello, future periodic. This video shows the video body for the subject and use parallel distance and justifies some in-depth algorithm placement for criticism. But if you intend to enjoy this video, I will not stop you.
Element systems are a mechanic some games use for a variety of different purposes. Some games use them to add a bit more depth to the combat system, some games use it to make certain mechanics a bit clearer, and some use it to fulfill the base game designer urge to give things little categories. I decided to rank all the element systems I've encountered because it seems fun and I don't think that anyone's really making a video like this before. My criteria for inclusion in this list is simple. 1. I have played the game. Pretty obvious, and this helps me actually know what I'm talking about. 2. Clearly delineated set of characters and or creatures must be categorized via the element. 3. Don't be Monster Legends. You think this would be pretty easy bar to clear, but you'd be surprised. This will cut down the list of games by like 16%. Deltarune probably isn't a very good first example. Let me show what I mean by reading the element list. Blade, Cat, Chaos, Color, Dark, Death, Dust, Elec, Fight, Heart, Holy, Ice, Jewel, Mouse, Order, Puppet, Puzzle, Rabbit, Rude, Scythe, Star, and Virus. Obviously, this element system isn't entirely serious, and is mainly used for fun little jokes in the bestiary, and it does well at that. There's also the fact that the game's unfinished, though. There's another factor hampering it as a traditional element system. Its only real mechanical involvement is that there are certain armor pieces which resist certain elements, again because it's mostly unserious. My Singing Monsters is a game and it has one of the element systems of all time. It is the only one I know to have classes of elements. I think this is another one where I can pretty succinctly prove my point just by listing off the elements. There's the natural elements: air, cold, earth, fire, plant, and water. The magical elements: bone, fairy, light, and psychic. The ethereal elements: crystal, mech, plasma, poison, and shadow. The seasonal elements: anniversary month, beat hereafter, clover spell, crescendo moon, echoes of eco, extravaganza, feast ember, Festival of EA, Life Formula, Mind Boggle, Purple Explore, yes that's an actual name they gave to an actual element, Season of Love, Sky Painting, Spooktacle, Summer Song, the two mythical elements, Dream and Mythical, and other elements, Celestial, Dipster, Electric, and Legendary. There's also the rules about combining elements. Natural elements can be combined with each other freely, as can ethereal elements, though there's only one monster for each combination. Same also applies to magical elements, but one magical element and up to 3 natural elements is also a valid combo. The mythical elements also allow for any combination, but Solo Dream, and just Solo Dream, is limited to 1 monster per combination. The other elements, as in elements of the other class, are only comprised of monsters that have them as the solo element, and the same goes for seasonals, though they again have the 1 monster per combination stipulation, now a 1 monster per element stipulation. And you know the worst part? The elements don't even have much mechanical significance. They're basically a guide on how to breed certain monsters, which only applies to non-epic ethereals, magicals, and naturals with more than 1 element.
Before you watch this one, you should know that this is the worst one when it comes to what I was talking about.
Pokemon, the game with probably the most recognizable element system of all time. Gameplay-wise, it has what you expect from a stereotypical element system. Pokemon have types, and so do their moves, and if you hit a Pokemon of a certain type with a move of a certain type, it can do extra, less, or no damage depending on what said types are. Also, if you make a Pokemon attack with a move of the same type as them, it does extra damage. Some types also have fairly sensible immunities, like poison types being immune to being poisoned, or dark types being immune to moves boosted by Prankster. Yes, it has some unconventional choices for types like Bug and Rock. Yes, some Pokemon have weird typings, and some types react to other types in weird ways, but that's only because there's 18 types and 125 Pokemon. That's not me saying, though, that the games are getting worse overall, though. Jigglypuff was pure normal in Gen 1. This thing. Lag. Skylanders has a fairly basic system of elements with not much gameplay involvement. Every area gives Skylanders of certain elements increased power, and some areas can only be accessed by Skylanders of said element, and there's a small type advantage-esque system in the game's PvP mode. The set of elements is also pretty simple: air, earth, fire, life, magic, tech, undead, and water in the first 3, with the addition of light and dark in the next 3. Where the system really shines though is in theming. Of course there's the aforementioned element only zones, but in the first game you have to collect 8 artifacts themed around the elements from short sets of element themed levels, and in the 4th you have to spend 1 level taking down one of 9 element themed Doom Raiders and typically another level tracking them down. Those may be the only 2 that tie them into the plot, but you'll find a surprising amount of things come back to the elements.
Yes.
Xenoblade 2 has probably the most unique system here, so it's gonna take some explaining. Mostly it ties to the system called Blade Combos, where if you make a special attack of any element at any level, it sets you down a pathway where you can then use a special attack of 2 specific elements at level 2 or higher, which then lets you use a special attack of 1 or 2 certain elements at level 3 or higher to finish off the combo. Not only will the attacks used in the Blade combo do extra damage, but whatever special was used last will determine a certain debuff which enemies can no longer apply. Actually, fire, electric, and dark deal certain kinds of attack, but same difference. The choice for which element deals which debuff also seems pretty random. I can understand fire stealing self-destruct, can conceive of water stealing stench, but stuff like earth stealing shackle driver comes out of nowhere. Also, I just want to note, the 8 elements come in pairs. There's a debuff called Shackled Blade, which is a counterpart to Shackle Driver. The element that steals Shackled Blade is not paired with earth. Also, the character designs don't really communicate whatever element the characters are very often. Like, yeah, this is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, home to Pyra, top Google image result for bad character design, no last name, but still. This is Vess. Can you guess what element she is? It's lightning.